Susan Garrett and I were talking before this about the bad habit that Southerners have. You know, they say goodbye, and then they walk to the door, and then they talk some more. She called it vestibuling. I think we're vestibuling a little bit this afternoon. Another person who happens to be retired. This is a big day for retirements, by the way. I don't know if you know. The director of the University of Pittsburgh Press is retiring today, and she said her grandmother always said, "Here's your hat. What's your hurry?" You all probably would like to say that to me now, but I have been waiting to say my piece. And it's 3 pages long, just in case anybody needs to blend there.
Single space or double space?
No, it's double space. Of course, everything that we do is double space. Thank you all for coming. I wasn't sure what to expect today. There had been some secrecy around these arrangements. I was a little disappointed not to see a scooter tricked out like a little Pope-mobile that I could ride around and greet you all with. A couple of weeks ago, we had at our house what we call press chili. And this is something we started some years ago when Robbie Dirks came to the press, and we have it down to a formula now. I make a pot of chili, Robbie makes a pot of chili, others bring sides and desserts and drinks. My wife spends a week cleaning up the house, getting ready for company. And we had a great time, and now some of my colleagues are beginning to wonder if I'm going to pull my shirt off and show you my tattoo that I got for the occasion. I'm not. I could, but if we have a couple of more of those,
we'll tweet the
carrés. But anyway, we had a great time. The next day, the thank yous started rolling into my inbox, and as I again told Susan Garrett, who's obviously a very important person today, it's great. A bunch of people do a lot of work, and somehow I get the credit. As I told her, this has worked for me for a long time. Everything starts with our authors, of course, and how fortunate I've been to work with great authors and to be able to count many of them, many of you, now among my friends. It's a great deal. I buy you lunch. You give me 3 or 4 years of your creative life. A couple of years ago, Dan Patterson, thank you for coming today, Dan, brought us his study of the Scotch-Irish in North Carolina as interpreted through their gravestones. And that was in many ways a life's work, a work 30 years in the researching and writing. And then he thanked me. It should be obvious who should be thanking whom in that interaction. Thank you, Dan. To our board members, I've tried to tell you several times how important you are to the press and how present you are for us, especially for me and my fellow editors in our day-to-day work. We give them every 2 months a binder of between 300 and 400 pages long of readers' reports and book descriptions and so forth. And we know they read it because when we discuss approval for a project, if we don't have every little corner tacked down, they find it. Finally, my wonderful and hardworking colleagues, both here and those who've gone before us. And now I do want to name a few names because they were so important to me. And they were so important to this place. They built and cared for this place where we're now gathered. Matt Hodgson, of course. Former editor-in-chief Malcolm Call, executive editor Louis Bateman, former editor-in-chief Iris Hill, I'm so glad she's here today, editors Gwen Duffy and Sandra Eisdorfer, who literally took me under their wings when I first came here, former marketing manager Johanna Grimes, our longtime sales rep Ed Wood, who took me on the road with him and showed me the bookseller's view of our world. Our longtime head of production and design, Rich Hendel, who left an imprint on everything we do here and how we do it. And former director, Kate Torrey. Where did she go?
She's behind you.
Who trusted me with the awesome responsibility of managing the editorial program of the press. Kate, I hope you don't have to regret that. So I have many to thank today and much to be thankful for. It was so cool, really, to work here. The dream job. I love to tell people I was born in, well, I was born in Duke Hospital, but I lived in Chapel Hill. My parents were here on the GI Bill. I lived in Victory Village, and I grew up in Asheville. So to be able to come back to Chapel Hill and then to spend my work life at UNC Press, what a wonderful gift that was. I think the press found me. I don't know how that happened. I'm so glad that it did. And then the secret, there's a lot of talk about me today. The secret of my success, really any success I had, is that I was pitching for UNC Press. It's flattering to think that people came here because they wanted to work with me. In fact, what they wanted was a UNC Press book with everything that meant, and I was the vehicle. Obviously, what we do here, what happens in our future, and that sense that a UNC Press book still means something, all of that matters a great deal to me. So deciding when to retire, that it is okay to retire from all of that, was not an easy thing. There came a moment when I knew it was okay to retire, and that moment came as I watched a new and younger group take the reins at UNC Press. And looking at John and the creative spirit he's brought to the press in the short time he's been here, Mark Simpson Voss, God bless you, took the load off my shoulders these last 2 years and let me glide into retirement. The great leadership group we have and the talented and dedicated staff, top to bottom, I'm very pleased with where we have UNC Press now, and I'm confident you have a very bright future, whatever the challenges. So that's enough. I'm feeling a little dry in the mouth. And I know there's a nice cask of, does anyone know how to pronounce the Vieux Carré out there, and I invite you all to join me for one.